Yeah, that happens to us as well. Problem with the microphone. But I was saying, tax collection is getting dramatic, complete with police chase cars and the flying squad. It has been an uneasy 2 weeks for sections of the country's business community as the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, switched on the criminal process in its chase for what it describes as billions in evaded taxes. The KRA, which is running behind targets on tax collection, recently acquired new leadership, with James Githi Mburu taking the mantle as the Commissioner General. The man at the center of it all, the new boss of the KRA, James Mburu, is our guest for his first ever TV interview on Newsnight. Thank you again for making time for us tonight. Again, keep texting us and tweeting us. The SMS number is 22422. On Twitter, use the hashtag Newsnight. I'll look at some few tweets very briefly as we begin. Mr. Chumo on Twitter says, betting companies have been operating in the country for some years now, but KRA only realized in 2019 that they do not pay taxes. How is that possible? Okay. We have another one. Okay, we have another tweet. This is from Rain, who says, ask how an entity would evade taxes to a tune of 14 billion shillings without the knowledge of top KRA commissioners who slept at the job. I asked you this question before. He's more specific, though. He's talking about top KRA commissioners, and we'll come to that. And Dr. Carter Peter Schmidt says, big catch there. I will watch. Of course, talking about you coming to studio, and again, we thank you. Because you're a big catch.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure businesses will watch too. Folks are scared of this guy out there. Should people be scared of you?
Not really.
Because some businesses are genuinely scared.
Why should they be?
And I'll read some SMSs and tweets to that effect, that they feel harassed in how this process is going, being undertaken.
Why should they be if they are paying their taxes? Why should they be?
Can you vouch for your KRA officials when they collect taxes, that they do it with the utmost professionalism? Because there are problems. There
are those elements who probably will pursue personal agendas. But those ones we are also dealing with them. Right. We want to make tax paying something that enjoyable.
All right. I don't know how you'll manage doing that.
It is possible.
It is possible, and we wish you all the best to that, but we'll come to that. So 250 billion shillings. This is the amount you said in tax evasion, just for the last 2 years only, that you've already seen. And you said you will get this money. You're quoted as saying that. Because if you do, it does a lot to the Kenyan economy. So how will you get this money? Who exactly, or what is the share? I'm assuming the 41 alleged tax evasion from Humphrey Kariuki and 14 billion alleged at Keroche is part of it, or is that different?
Part of it.
Part of it. So who are these? These are individuals, these are farms. How many are they?
Maybe I can start by explaining giving you some background of how we do our work.
Yeah.
KRA, like any other agency, we have evolved from being very manual. People were filing manual returns, and for one to go and then determine whether there is any tax not paid, one has to go and review all those returns, gather information from the financial statements of those companies, a very manual process before you determine then who is this that is evading taxes. Over time, KRA now has automated significantly. We are able to know, for example, if the date of filing was 20th. On the 21st day, we are able to generate from our systems who are those who paid last year who have not paid this year. Who are those who paid this X amount and the amount has reduced to X amount this year. We are able to see who has not filed a return. We are able to see all these issues.
All right.
So the level of automation is helping out, flush out these are what we call the risk indicators. We would like to know, for example, if you paid 10 billion last year, you are paying only 2 billion. What has happened? Is there any indication that your business levels have reduced? Is there any indication that you are experiencing difficult times? So those are the risk indicators we look at. We are able to see businesses report their profits. Individuals have lifestyles out there. There are a lot of developments going on out there, and we are able to pick. We have an army of intelligence officers right now out there collecting this information to supplement what we have in our system.
Okay.
So we are better equipped now to deal with tax evasion than we were years ago.
All right. For the sake of our viewers, of course, I mean, you're You're now the Commissioner General. Before that, you're the Commissioner of Intelligence and Strategic Operations for a period of since April 2017 until your elevation. And you've also been head of tax investigation. A lot of things to do with intelligence and investigation where you're concerned. Where have you been? Because if you are Commissioner in charge of Intelligence and Strategic Operations, and some of these cases, like the Kelechi one, is between a period of 2015 to now. Why are we seeing action now?
Good, and that's a very good question, which I will explain by giving you some of the processes that we go through in collecting of taxes. For example, like I said, we have systems that collect all this information. I was head of intelligence for 2 years. And during those 2 years, we were able to mobilize information that would lead us, that told us that we have about these 250 billion out there. And I have told you how we do it. We have a very intelligent system. We are able to analyze information from that system. Yeah. We are able to work with people out there to collect this information. What the public do not know is that within the same period of those 2 years, we have already prosecuted more than 400 cases, individuals. Okay. Maybe we have not talked about it. But we have already taken to court a significant number of cases. They are out there.
All right. I mean, and that's fine, with due respect to the work you've done. But we're talking about 41 billion shillings in tax evasion. Alleged. It's a case now. And 14 billion alleged for the last 2 years. And we are seeing action now. I mean, this is... in fact, these are questions that you should have raised before as the head of intelligence and investigations, isn't it?
For us to reach there, it doesn't mean we started investigating last week or the last 2 weeks or the last month.
My point exactly. It was since...
We have been... Investigation is a process. We gather intelligence, we put it together, we compare what is in the returns, what is known to us from the business perspective, products out there. We collect all this information. We put it together. Collection has, maybe I can say, 3 elements. There is what we call voluntary compliance. Ours is a self-assessment regime where you declare your income and your expenses and the tax that you ought to pay. That is the first stage. After that, KRI now has to go into the systems and see, because we do not have capacity to review everybody. We can never go review everyone. So we use what we call intelligence-led and data-driven. Yeah. So we now evaluate this information and then put it together, package it, and give it to investigators. They have a job to do as well, because intelligence is not evidence. So they have a job to do now. They go out there and collect this in a manner that it can be produced in court. Okay, I'm just finding it, okay, let me just use the word funny. But what, is it a coincidence that immediately you were elevated as the Commissioner General, then we see such action? And these cases have been spanning for years. Yes, you've been gathering information, but since 3 years ago, some of these cases, and the amounts that we're talking about are huge, they're in billions. Because there are questions being raised. Either, one, you did not raise this as the head of intelligence before, or maybe you raised it and no action was taken, or it even says something about your predecessor. Why didn't he take action before? Or is it something you're doing different that he did it? I think my predecessors took action based on the information that was available. But let me put it this way, that it is in this country of ours where deliberate non-payment of taxes is not seen as criminal. In the tax laws, the tax law has classified the approaches to collection of taxes. There is a civil route. First of all, I said you do self-assessment. Then after self-assessment, you can review the information and decide, let us interrogate you and ask you whether you understood this. We give you our findings, and then we discuss how you are going to pay those taxes. But I've realized something very interesting, that the taxpayers or the people out there, and this is where the difference now, whatever you are asking between what I'm doing and probably what was done before. that the taxpayers, you know, somebody says, I don't know, since the bird or whatever has learned to fly without patching, now we must also learn to shoot without missing. The taxpayer has, some taxpayers have actually perfected the art of dragging cases of tax collection. First of all, you deduct tax money. You know you are supposed to remit it to KRA. You don't remit it. You say, catch me if you can. you borrow a loan, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you continue using taxpayers' money. What I have decided is that since you have deducted knowingly that this is taxpayers, this is government money, and you have failed to pay, I'm not going to pursue it in a civil manner because it's deliberate. While deducting, you knew. You have kept it. Why should I come for it and we start arguing?
Because it's always been a civil approach. What you're saying is criminal law,
yeah. Why should you deduct? It is not even your money, for example. It is withholding tax. Belongs to the other person paying. Pay as you earn. Belongs to a person who has worked in that organization. You deduct it, you keep it, and you wait that you will pay when you are caught. That is deliberate. The change of tact is, since you knew what you were doing, when I catch up with you now, first of all, I will treat it as criminal. So that then tax collection can be given the respect it deserves. It can be given the seriousness it deserves. Instead of you waiting for us to catch up with you, and then we start now a conversation, there is a dispute. Which dispute? You already deducted. Is there a dispute really?
Because the question, the question has been about the process of enforcement. And yes, moving from civil matters to now criminal in nature, and you're justifying it, saying there's no negotiating or anything about it.
The law anticipates it.
Yeah, but first, people are saying it's a bit punitive. It should be the last resort. And of course, as you answer that, try and explain this to me, because there's also the ADR process. Okay, putting to your systems, which includes the taxpayer, commissioner, and facilitator. You know, the alternative dispute resolution, that's what I'm talking about. But you seem now to prefer to just go straight ahead and prefer criminal charges.
We treat taxpayers differently. There are those people...
Based on what, the amounts?
No. As we engage with you, we realize maybe you are not complying because of lack of knowledge. We treat you differently. We educate you. Then we show you, we have realized you have not paid taxes amounting to X because of the following reasons. Then you come out and indicate, then you are not aware, and then we engage in that process. That's a civil process. But I'm asking a very good question which Kenyans need to also understand. You have gone out of you know tax is supposed to be paid. You have deducted it from your employees. But you have not remitted it to the KRA. Instead, you are using it to fund your business operations. And when I catch up, if we never catch up with you, it's gone. When we catch up with you, you want us to engage. It's a civil process. That is what we must avoid as Kenyans. Look at what happens in Europe. We have seen footballers jailed, taken to court and jailed because of tax evasion.
You are saying tonight on Newsnight, yes. Commissioner General, that from now on it will be different.
Yes,
preferring criminal charges.
It must be different. Because the law...
Unless you don't have knowledge, I don't know how you'll prove that, that is when you can look at alternative dispute resolution.
We are able to engage.
But before, other than that, it will be criminal. You won't give room for explanation and negotiation or anything.
As long as I have evidence that points to it being criminal, that this appears to be a very deliberate scheme. You knew what you were doing. And I've given you a good example. That you have been deducting taxpayers' money, or you have been rendering services, people have rendered to you services, you are paying them, you are deducting their money, not your money, their money. And you keep it to fund your own business operations. If we never catch up with you, you are gone. Okay. You have stolen. Is there any difference between you and a thief?
With due respect to that process that you really want to approach, the approach you're taking right now, you have every right to. There are those who think, what if you just sat with these people, talk about it, and try and salvage what you can, or even get the tax, instead of going through a court process that may take so long, and you may realize it will be very expensive for KRA, for the government, for everybody else, and will take so much for every party in the case, that's what I mean. And you may have to realize this money is later on down the line. You need the money now, don't you?
That option is still open. By the way, we approach it through all those options. For example, when we come to you, we serve you with our findings. You are willing to settle the matters out of court. We have an ADR process. Even those we have in court, if they are willing to settle the matters and come and pay taxes, the doors are open. We have an alternative dispute process, which they have to follow. But of course, if they are already charged in court, they have to go through the DPP, through what we call the pre-bargain. But if we have not gone to court, and you want to settle your matters, we encourage the alternative dispute resolution process.
You've been there for a while. How long? I'm assuming it doesn't take long. How long does it take to know somebody's evading taxes? Because you just said
like I said a long time ago, some time ago, it was difficult because it was a manual process. But now that it is digital, since we are able, we have accumulated data. It is now digital in the last 4 years or so.
So how long does it take to know somebody is evading taxes?
It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to know, but you got to understand that we do not have the capacity to pursue everybody. Right now, we are notifying everyone online. We are telling them, if you look at your emails, you find our messages. But
I'm assuming you don't have capacity to pursue everybody, but I'm assuming you would be keen on the big players.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, with these billions, why you did not do anything? Why nothing was done when you were the head of intelligence, or when you had the previous Commissioner General?
It is not that we did not do anything. We have been doing something. Most of the players out there engaging in these issues have had engagements with us before. They have had those engagements. We have brought some of these issues to their attention. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have done so. So those engagements have been there before. But it reaches a point then you realize that there is some determination not to pay the taxes. And then you have to utilize the instruments given to you by law, because the law anticipated that we shall reach there. So because for those who want to pay the taxes, we are willing to support them. Very willing, by the way.
All right.
If we realize you have no intention to evade taxes, we will support you. We will give you even a payment plan. Even for them when they come forward. Anybody who comes forward, we shall do that.
But because some are wondering why it's happening now, and yet we had professional people like you still in the commission before, that's why you see some people saying this is personal, economic sabotage, this is political.
There is nothing personal. There is nothing economic sabotage. Like I've said, even tomorrow, if those people decide that they want to come and discuss their tax matters, they will come forward. We have so many of them right now, by the way, only that we don't go discussing taxpayers' affairs, who have already come forward. They have payment plans with us. Maybe we have raised 200 million, you said you can't afford all of it together, but you want to be given installments, they are paying on a monthly basis. They have come forward. We are only discussing these few issues because they are in the public domain. But there are thousands.
The magnitude is huge.
There are thousands.
The amount of the amounts you're talking about are huge. They're huge.
Yeah, they are huge.
So meaning they should have been flagged before. If it takes a shorter period to know. It takes a short period, as you said, to know. With
right now, with technology, like I've told you, from 20th, the next day we start analyzing this information. We will engage the taxpayers. Many will tell you they have already received our communications, telling them we have noticed 1, 2, 3. We are asking you to come forward.
All right. We have a lot more to talk about with the Commissioner General of KRA, James Mburu. Keep texting us #242 on Twitter. Use the hashtag Newsnight, including the KRA staff and the raised eyebrows on the corridors of KRA. We'll talk about all that after this short break. We are with the KRA Commissioner General James Mburu. Keep texting us #242 on Twitter. Is the hashtag Newsnight. There was this tweet that was there before from Rain, who asked the Commissioner General how an entity would have evaded taxes to a tune of 14 billion without the knowledge of top KRA commissioners who slept at the job. Of course, I was talking about officials. He's going to notch higher to talk about commissioners. But they must have known because of this amounts that we're talking about. And that is why I asked you initially, when we saw such arrests, because now you're saying there's no need to negotiate with somebody who does such a thing, who knowingly does such a thing. Why didn't we see corresponding arrests from KRA officials? Because they must have colluded with such people.
Like I mentioned earlier, the investigation goes through certain stages. We have already identified the taxes evaded. We are now, the DCI and is now investigating the role of KRA officers in this process. And DPP has clearly indicated that once that investigation is concluded, action will be taken. There cannot be one to be spared.
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, today we're talking about 90 officials from KRA. I think a year ago we talked about 80 officials being investigated, but these are specifics with such big cases. I'm assuming people who have such big accounts or fat accounts have actually account managers at KRA, if I'm not wrong. So we should have seen somebody from KRA also being arrested or action being taken against them.
Yeah, we have various approaches to tax compliance. For the large taxpayers, they have what we call account or relationship managers, who are supposed to monitor them on a daily basis. For the other many taxpayers, we may not have enough adequate staff, but we also try as much as possible to monitor the way they are paying their taxes. So, like I said, the tax evaded is being identified, is being investigated. But along with it will come what we call accountability. Who was overseeing these accounts? What were they doing?
Specific cases.
Yes.
So we'll see people
all
also.
of them. The ones that you know and the ones that you do not know. We are looking at all those accountability mechanisms. Who ought to have done something and failed to do it? Who was this who was supposed to monitor them on a daily basis? What did they do? As you realize, some staff actually did a lot of work. They identified these taxes. They raised demands. They have been pursuing those demands. It is only that now the taxpayers have become intransigent. They don't want to pay their taxes. And you realize it is deliberate. Then you realize you also have an avenue in law that allows you to treat this matter in the manner it's supposed to be treated. Because anybody who wants to evade taxes, who knowingly doesn't want to pay taxes, clearly that is now criminal.
The DCI boss, Bwana Kinoti, said recently there is no successful theft of tax or evasion without the counsel, aid, procuring and abetting by KRA staff. That you agree with?
That I do.
Yeah?
That I do.
So I'm just wondering, 80 people last year, 90 people now being investigated at KRA. This, again, did not happen overnight.
Yes.
And we are seeing a lot of this under your tenure. So what was happening before? Because you're still working.
Like I said before...
Actually, the question is, what is the use of intelligence then?
Like I said, a lot of work has been going on. We have identified billions of taxes. That is intelligence. There is a next level. The issue of now audit and investigations. That takes time. Sometimes we do not have the level of capacity that we need. The number of people. In fact, we have a lot of cases there waiting for the resources to be available. Meaning that if you are saying you have 5 cases, there are others lining up waiting for you to finish with these ones so that you can proceed. So there is a question of resources which we are looking at.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, and time will tell. This is from a source within KRA. Not really a source, just somebody who works there, who says, this is now to do with staff morale. He says, the threat of impending, he or she says, the threat of impending arrests and prosecution of top managers in KRA has created fear and despondency in the top and middle ranks of management. Says this is affecting output since managers are very cautious about making tax decisions. Why is Mburu letting the DCI, EACC and other agencies to investigate KRA staff use KRA resources, officers and equipment to investigate staff, yet KRA has an existing internal affairs division and a team of 50 seasoned crime investigators seconded from the DCI? Is this not a duplication of roles, allowing external agencies to interfere with tax administration and scandalizing the majority of the good staff in the authority?
Now, my view of this is that, first of all, nobody should fear if you have not done anything wrong. DCI and DPP does not go for anybody who has not done anything wrong. DCI and DPP have their mandate. And when they receive these reports, Remember, they receive these reports from other Kenyans out there. And we cannot prevent them from investigating. KRI has its own internal mechanism. A whole group of people who investigate misconduct. They are doing their work for the purpose of what we call internal disciplinary processes. But you realize that the people reporting out there, reporting tax evasion aided by KRI officers, are reporting to the DPP, they are reporting to the DCI, they are reporting to the EACC, and they have their mandate, they have their job to do.
So these investigators, from what this person is saying, these investigators are within KRA right now?
DCI...
Internally, and they're doing their job in KRA offices. From what they're saying, that's what they're saying. So that's why they're saying their morale is affected. I mean, with due respect, investigations must be done. But there are people here who think it is also infringing on them, and they're feeling like their morale is affected, and they're scared.
Nobody should be scared. Because like I said, the investigations means that this year will inquire on certain information that he has. If he finds you are a person of interest, he's going to ask you questions. If he has evidence against you, then he will take appropriate measures. There is no need to fear anything.
You can assure them tonight that there will be no witch hunt.
Yes, I do not think there is any intention to prosecute any KRI officer who has not done anything wrong.
You have been missing targets for the last 6 years concurrently. And you know that. Recently you said that Kenya has enough money and we actually do not even need to borrow money. That is a very huge statement or remark to make from you. You actually said there is enough money in this country that we don't need to even borrow loans. I know where the money is and I will go for it. Okay, that's what you said. You know what you're saying, in other words, is we don't need to borrow. You can assure this country, everybody who's watching tonight.
Yes.
For example, the next financial year, we don't need to borrow anything?
As long as all the Kenyans come out and pay their taxes. That's what I'm saying.
Which you have promised to make them do.
Yes,
you said you'll go for them.
First, I will educate them, so that those who do not know whether they should be paying taxes, we are going to educate them. We are going to reach out to them. But the message is clear, that if all of us were to pay the taxes we ought to pay, only what we ought to pay, not a shilling more, just all of us, we will not borrow any money. Trust me. We will not borrow any money. But if people do not want to pay taxes, people go out of their way to invest in schemes. People are deducting even employees' money and they don't remit. People are paying, deducting, withholding VAT, deducting, withholding taxes, and they don't want to pay. People are out there earning their money, developing properties, doing everything and not paying taxes. Then there is a problem. And if all of us are to pay, we can actually bring it down, even the rate of taxes in this country. I
was actually going to ask you whether you think that the budgets we make as a country are realistic and the revenue projections, what you're supposed to raise through revenues, because you have not been meeting the targets. I was going to ask you whether you think they're realistic. But from your statement that there is enough money, you think they're realistic?
You see, I have not been complaining about the budgets.
So they are okay?
Me, I'm not complaining about the budgets. What I'm appealing to Kenyans to do is to come out and pay their taxes, only what we are supposed to pay. When all of us have paid our taxes, what we are supposed to pay, then we can ask ourselves whether we need any deficit, we have any deficit or not. But the money is there. Suppliers of county governments, many of them, are not paying taxes. Yeah. They are not, and I have a whole team right now looking at them. Those who are supplying county governments and taking away the money and not paying taxes.
It is not an easy job. And we saw the president speaking, I think yesterday, the day before, saying, people, you guys are serious and you're going for the people who are evading taxes. Again, when do you think, I know this is a difficult question, you can't really predict, but from your statement where you said, I know where the money is and I'll go for it. Is there such a time you think you'll be able to raise these revenues without missing targets?
All I know is that
it has happened before.
The money is there. I can see it from my records. I can see it from the booming
businesses,
real estate business. I can see it all over. Kenyans are consuming, so we have what we call consumption taxes. The money, I can see it. What I'm asking the Kenyans to do is to make it easy for this country by coming and paying their taxes. They should not make us work so hard looking for them. In fact, that is why sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to negotiate when you see the amount of resources you have used to bring out these people on board. But if everyone walks tomorrow in KRA, and I have seen many right now, I have received several calls even today, that people are willing to come and discuss their tax matters. See what we call self-disclosure. They are coming, and when you come, we treat you much better, by the way. Why? Because you have saved us time and resources. So we are even going to support you, help you, pay your taxes. Yeah.
All right. Expanding the tax base has always been an issue. We're talking about 5.5 there about the last time I checked, or just slightly over that, 5.5 million taxpayers against 19 million voters. Of course, you've been targeting the big guns, but generally to widen your tax base, what plans do you have yourself? In your tenure, what are we likely to see? Is it going to grow by how much?
Yes, we are.
What will you target?
What we call tax-based expansion is a key strategy during my tenure, and we are using what we call the information we are receiving. We have linked up our systems with various other. We have integrated with various other systems. We are able now to go and mine information from various other databases, from lands, from Kenya Power and Lighting Company, or wherever we can get the information of business transactions, including importation, because people import, but when they come to domestic taxes, pay nothing. So you can see somebody is importing a very high-end car worth millions of shillings, but when you go to the return, there is zero. So you wonder, there is no return. So we are using all this information to reach out to those people. So tax-based expansion is a key strategy for me. Tax evasion, fighting it through, is another key strategy for me during this period. Then, of course, deeper engagement with players, taxpayers, is another key strategy to make sure people come out voluntarily, people come out and pay their taxes, calling upon Kenyans to come out in huge numbers. I would be glad to see Kenyans coming out tomorrow, paying their taxes. This target will be achieved.
Okay. I have a few more questions. I'll have to stop myself from even asking mine, just to be fair to the viewers, because you're attracting a lot of feedback. Your position is very huge and very important in this country. I'll go through a few. One, somebody says, in good faith, this is Ibrahim says, in good faith and as goodwill to small taxpayers, the type who files zero returns, can he declare a waiver? Number one. He also says, ask him to waive tax penalty on those who delay in filing returns. The system is too cumbersome and it's unfair to penalize innocent Kenyans with the rigidity displayed by KRA.
For everyone who is willing to pay their taxes, let them come forward. We are actually very accommodating. In fact, in law, there is what we call, it is provided for. You can appeal for waiver of interest and penalties. It is in law, and the commissioner will consider the circumstances. And where he is convinced, then he's going to waive. So it is provided for in law.
All right. Somebody says the reason why Kenyans are not volunteering to pay tax is, one, they don't see the value, and two, the big taxpayers, that is politicians, don't pay. The value, of course, this is beyond you. Talking about how that tax will be used or utilized for development again in the country. Some people don't see that value, and that's why they choose to cut corners. That is no justification. Just saying what is being said. Yeah, if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, you see the big taxpayers, the ones they are referring to as big taxpayers, they are the ones we are going for. we will reach out in the coming days. I am just appealing to the people. I said it in the papers that we will come for it if you don't come. And when we do, then don't blame us.
And that brings me back to a question I wanted to ask. I'll come back to the viewers shortly. When you said you're going to look at these people, individuals, profile them and companies, and from there and their livelihood, you'll be able to realize or to know whether they are paying these taxes or whether they're cutting corners or not. How will you do that? You just send people to man people, investigate them just to see how they live and everything? Just
like I said, we have a lot of information. and we use many other databases.
There's a unit. What we're gathering is that there's a unit that deals with that now.
There is a whole army.
For that purpose.
Both covert and overt. Out there. Collecting information. About
not everyone, obviously.
Of course, it is not about everyone. Like I said, there are indicators of persons of interest.
Yeah.
That because we cannot cover everybody,
yeah.
we have to deal with the ones, we have to do risk-based. Where do we see more taxes? Even in terms of investing resources, the 80-20 rule, we want to invest our resources on where we can get maximum value. But we also want to appeal to all Kenyans. That even as we focus our resources on where we can get, everybody should come out and be patriotic enough and pay their taxes. That is what we are saying. Not a shilling more, not a shilling less.
Okay. These are so many texts and then tweets. You don't have to respond to all of them. I'll go through quickly some of them. Mureu from Chamber of Commerce says, ask Bwana Commissioner General why they have barricaded themselves and made visiting Times Tower an impossible mission. Try going to pay tax there. It is the most unpleasant reception. I have seen taxpayers being rained on outside Times Tower, queuing to pay taxes. What a shame. I'm hoping something will change about that.
Yes, we will do something about it. That's good feedback, and we thank you. We thank him for that.
Somebody else says, importing a container costs 1 million shilling in Tanzania and 3 million in Kenya. Why that huge difference? They'll obviously choose to go to Tanzania.
Because Kenya is more efficient. Yes.
If you could elaborate, yeah.
I'm saying we may be using the same common external tariff.
Yeah.
Kenya has invested a lot in checking these things and determining the value of these goods. For us, we just collect what we ought to collect. What happens in other places?
All right. Asmali says, great to see Hussein asking poking questions to the CGF carrier. What incentives are the staff at the agency getting in order for them to be doing a good job? What moral booster are they given to motivate them? They are the foundation of the agency.
We are looking at the terms of service for our staff to see how we can better remunerate them, how we can take care of them in a better way. That we are doing. We are discussing this with the ministry, the National Treasury, so that we are in discussion, and I believe we should be able to do something.
All right. The gentleman who talked about Tanzania says, no, actually, it's so horrible at the port. Okay. You'll respond to all that at a later date because there's many more texts and tweets coming in. Two more questions before we give you a chance to say something to Kenyans as we wind up. There's somebody who's talking about individual problems here, about contract employees. We'll ask that as the last question. Ask the DG what he will achieve if he closes down African spirits businesses that would otherwise be paying pay as you earn from staff that are likely to be laid off, VAT, corporate income tax that the same entities would otherwise generate. Why are they using state agencies to fight what may seem to be a targeted battle against specific and targeted industry players?
First of all, we are not closing any business. That's for a fact. When an investigation is in progress, there are investigative procedures that are followed. We are not closing anybody's business at all. We want to encourage everyone to come forward and discuss their tax matters. Closing a business is not part of our mandate.
It will affect them. That's what they're saying.
We even go out of our way to ensure that those who come forward are facilitated. So we are not going to gain by any business being closed. We want businesses to grow. We want them to expand, to employ many people, to pay PAYE, VAT, everything. But I think, to be fair, when there is an investigation going on, it's good to let it be concluded. It doesn't mean we are closing the business.
All right. Finally, 31 NSE-listed companies reported profit warnings for the financial year 2018-2019. It's definitely going to affect tax collection. 31 companies, NSE-listed.
But there is still money in this economy.
So you don't think that will affect in any way the revenues for this financial year?
But there are many others who are not paying. We will go for those others. Those who rightfully are facing difficulties, they are paying their taxes. We hope that they can improve. But those who have not been paying should then come forward and pay so that we can develop our country properly.
All right, business people who are waiting for their tax refunds, especially manufacturers. Tax refunds to manufacturers, yeah.
We are doing a lot in terms of refunding.
Those amounts have been held for a while now.
In June, I believe we refunded about 14 billion, 14.2 billion.
Out of, I think, 60 or 60 something.
It is good to understand the context of refunds. One, we collect all the money when we handed it over to the National Treasury. Then we get allocation for refund. It's about a billion shillings every month. So we cannot pay, we do not have it. So we have to then be able to verify, validate the refunds, and then pay on a first in, first out basis, having verified that. If we were to get much more money to fund refunds, we will pay. We want businesses to thrive. Probably we shall continue engaging with the National Treasury to increase that allocation so that we can better facilitate businesses.
All right. Finally now, somebody who says, I told you this is a contractual job at KRA. One contract staff in KRA working for 5 years with peanuts.
I know we have had challenges. Let me put it this way.
Yes.
KRA funding is supposed to be at least 2% of the revenue estimate. Over the years, that funding has been decreasing from 1.5% to about 1% now. With the declining funding, what we've been doing is to try as much as possible and collect much more using reducing resources. You can imagine from 1.5 some years back. Right now it's 1%. What do we do with it? And we have to find capacity. What we have to do then is to find ways of doing the job and spending less. So, but we are addressing that. We have already discussed that with the National Treasury. They have found our point and they have agreed to support us. And you saw the CS speaking the other day. This is the kind of discussion we are engaging in. We are changing the narrative for those staff very, very soon.
Your final words to Kenyans tonight?
I would like to request or to urge Kenyans to come forward and pay their taxes. If all of us were to pay the taxes we ought to pay, not a shilling more, I believe we should be able to lower even the rate of tax for this country. The problem is if an employee earning 20,000 shillings is paying taxes, why should a company raising billions not pay their taxes? There are employees right now who are paying more than multinational companies. Because in determining the taxes by companies, you have the turnover, you reduce expenses. All those expenses, we call them business expenses, they are allowed. So it is possible for a company to reduce, to claim all the expenses, and then end up even in losses. Those losses are carried forward. So the question we ask ourselves then, we want to ensure that those business expenses that are claimed are genuinely claimed. We do not want any abuse, because it means that the burden of paying taxes remains with those who are paying from the salaries. All right. So we have to try and do that. So my appeal to all Kenyans is to come out. Let us pay our taxes. About how it is spent, that's for another forum. All right. And for someone else. For me, it is my appeal to come out and we pay our taxes, all of us. And not to be sympathetic to anybody who does not pay their taxes. Because tax evasion enriches a few at the expense of everyone. All right. And that's why you've said that from now on, the approach will be criminal. It will be different as long as there is evidence of deliberate attempt to evade. Then we will have to deal with it with all the force. You have a tough job ahead of you, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much. All these changes that are happening now in your tenure, just wondering, why did you have the same ambitions, same plans to change when you were the investigative head? Probably I have been the same. Should they have happened before? I have been the same, personally. For all the 13 years I have worked, I have done my job the same way. You can, if you find out from the staff who have worked with me, I have never failed to do the things that I believe are right. I have been bold enough, even before. Probably whether they are taken up or not. Probably we have not publicized them a lot. But probably, if you look at the environment we are coming from, maybe the environment even years ago it was not that conducive. But I have been the same person all those years. I have never changed.
All right, I will see how this pans out for you. Keep texting us, 22422. SMS number on Twitter is the hashtag Newsnight. Maina Kageni says, good evening, brother. This is an eye-opening interview. Well done. The DG comes across as an honest, no-nonsense CEO. We have much to clean up, and I wish him all the best.
Thank you.
We also wish you all the best. And of course, we'll be talking to you in coming months. Hoping we won't get to a year.
Yes.
We'll see how far you would have gone to get this money that you say is there, and you know how to get it. But thank you nonetheless for making time for us tonight. Keep texting, as I said, 22422 on Twitter is the hashtag Newsnight, and you're watching Newsnight. Still ahead.